All right. Welcome to Real Estate Success. I'm your host, Mena Badros. I'm here today with Al Stasek. Al has been around the industry and has done a lot in the industry over some time. He was a Rockstar Rookie Agent at Century 21, a Hall of Famer at Remax, built his own brokerage, and is now an icon agent and team leader at EXP Realty. Plus, he helps supports and partners with thousands of agents, 12,000 and counting now, in our growing community of Honey Badger Nation. Al, great to have you here and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mina. Always love hanging out with you and learning and collaborating with you, my friend.
I appreciate it. Likewise, wish we had more time.
Yep.
Um, Al, I'd love for the people to get to know you as a person. So, without mentioning any professional accomplishments, can you tell us who is Al Stasek?
Sure. Yeah. So I come from a very working class, blue collar town and family. My folks both worked two jobs growing up. And I have to attribute any work ethic to just that. They worked hard to give us a really good life. Again, for sure middle class, but they managed because my dad, he worked a union job. My mom worked night shift at a hospital, and then she waited tables at an Asian restaurant at night. And my dad, he would work, the dock on the docks during the day, and then he'd put his Century 21 gold coat on at night and go out and hustle real estate back in the 80s. And so I always watched them working hard. Um, and 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 because of that, I believe they set a great example for me of what hard work was. So I, didn't obviously start out in real estate. When I graduated from high school, I went to Cleveland State University. Long story short, that wasn't for me. I just didn't see that being my path because I really didn't have any direction on where the path was going to take me. So I ended up going sort of following my dad's steps, and I was working on the docks, different company. Eventually, that led me to being an over the road truck driver. After about a year of driving semi truck, actually being transparent, I ended up buying my CDL, my commercial driver's license, illegally, and because I couldn't afford the school, so this guy was selling them. Believe it or not, I actually bought my CDL, taught myself how to drive semi truck, and did that. I drove all over the country. Um, Loved it at the time, but it's kind of one of those things. It's a lonely. Uh, I tip my hat to all the truck drivers out there because I'll tell you this: they're on the road. It is
Right.
not an easy job. Yes, they're sitting there driving all day, but it's boring. And you got to stay alert out there because you could literally, you have people's lives in your hands, literally. If you make one wrong turn, and so that just
Sure.
wasn't for me long term. I ended up coming off the road trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And my dad was selling real estate. And back in the day, in the 80s, I would go up to the Century 21 offices that he used to work out of. And and it made me not want to be a real estate agent. It was very rough. It was in an environment of very male dominated, everybody wearing suits, smoking cigarettes, drinking, swearing. It was not like the environment that we see, in 2022. If you walk into a
Right.
real estate office or whatever, very different. So I really did not want anything to do with the real estate industry coming up as a young man. But here I am, and in 1998, I got my real estate license, and I began my journey of searching for the best way of growing a real estate business, earning a high income. Uh, Fortunately, met some really great mentors and coaches along the way, which I latched onto and really just became a copycatter and just tried to model the success that I saw others do, which kind of like brought us to where we are today.
Awesome. And now, in a little bit, we're gonna get to talking about all the various things you've done in real estate. But I know very recently you were at the EXP Con event, and you got to speak on stage. That's awesome. Um, what were some of your highlight moments, and also some of your takeaways from there that you're gonna apply to your business? I did see your post, by the way, about boldness and deposits. I love that. But yeah, what were some of your highlight moments there, and some of the takeaways that you're gonna apply moving forward?
So the highlight, and I didn't, by the way, I didn't read your questions, and I kind of like rolling without
That's
pre-reading the
okay.
questions on interviews, and the reason is because I don't want to have to like try to like think of what I'm going to say. I like speaking from the heart, and what I'm going to say is this: the biggest takeaway, because no one's actually asked me my biggest takeaway. This is my first time that someone's asked me, and it would be, I am so proud. I've always been proud of being part of this company since day one, 5 years ago. But I'm even more proud now, and here's why. Glenn Sanford, our founder, stood up there and talked about how Success, which is one of the companies that we bought, Success Magazine, is now spreading into the health, wellness, longevity, and even biohacking uh, um, uh, arenas. Said
Hmm.
differently, being healthy and living longer by not just eating right and exercise. Those are two that we've talked about for decades and decades. We know
Right.
that if you eat right and eat healthy and exercise, you can live longer. But like diving deeper into it, into, the science behind living longer, the science behind hormone replacement, and getting deeper tests done on, trying to fight the seven most common diseases that kill us early, basically. And it warmed my heart, because Glenn stood up there and said, because over the last 12 months of his research, and not just researching but actually putting it into action, he just knocked, I think, 7 years off of his actual life. And he just had a birthday a couple of days ago, actually. So his biological age has
Right.
shrunk 7 years the other way. And I just love the fact that, you know it's not just about selling homes, and it's not just about, adding great agents and brokers and team leaders to the organization. That I love about, and I'm sure you love that part about our organization as well. But
Right.
my biggest takeaway is that we're going into all aspects of life with this organization. We're going into your personal growth and development. We're going into, of course, your business growth and development, which is what most companies do focus on. We're going into health. We have amazing healthcare, and now we're going into the biohacking, living longer, longevity. Beating the odds so that we can enjoy the life that we're building longer.
Right. I mean, if you don't have that, you can't do anything else.
Very true.
Pretty
Very true.
much. Um, we were just saying you've done a lot of things in real estate. You've been an agent, a coach, a team leader. Now you support thousands of agents. Out of everything you've done, what has been the most meaningful or rewarding role for you personally, if there is one?
Yeah. So the I think that the most rewarding thing is yet to come. I have two teenage sons, one of which I know wants to, get into real estate right out of high school. That's my oldest, Aiden. He's a senior this year. So
That's
I'm going to
pretty
be
cool.
really, really excited to see him come up. So having said that, though, I love seeing young people win in this industry. I love seeing the younger generation. I love seeing the agents that are in their early to mid to even late 20s and even early 30s. I love seeing them come up. I love seeing them innovate. This week I'm actually going to be turning 49 years old. It's kind of crazy. I got one more year left of my 40s.
Happy early
And
birthday.
oh, thank you. And I was actually literally saying to Jay, on stage, I said to him this, I'm on stage. I said, when did we all of a sudden become the old guys in the room? Because I remember I was so proud at one point of my team. And when I was at Remax, I had a small real estate team before I ended up moving into an independent brokerage model. I was the team lead. I owned the team, Stasek Group, but I was the youngest person on that team,
Right.
and I was all proud of that. And I remember thinking differently than some of the older agents in the office and stuff like that, and being innovative. So I love watching the younger generation come up. I love learning from them. Yes, they look at us and, to us as mentors, and look for the coaching and the training, which, we love doing. But what I don't think that the younger generation realizes is that we learn, our generation that is, let's call it 40 plus, are learning from the young generations about technology, about how to communicate differently.
Mm,
They just communicate differently, the younger versus the mid generation and older generation. So
yeah.
that's probably what I'm most excited about. I love seeing the young people win and bringing up. I love seeing them reaching down and pulling the others up and teaching them. That makes me so excited when I see it happening in person.
Yeah, it's true. I think the average age of a realtor is 50, 50 plus or in the mid 50s. So yeah, we're all still young. Yeah, I tell people you're either young or young at heart, right?
Well, hey, that
Um,
means I'm below. I'm still young. If the average age is 55, man, I'm still under that average. So I'll hold on to that for the next few years for sure.
yeah, you are, man, and you look it, you live it, you know. So that's awesome. What would you say is maybe the biggest thing or the thing that had the biggest impact on your real estate career? Like one thing you did or a turnaround.
Yeah.
It could be a mindset, an activity, a practice that had the biggest impact.
I mean, I can tell you right now, it's an easy answer. It's getting into the right room. Uh, said differently, getting in the right environment around the right people. I mean, it is 1000% the game changer. Everything will change when you do that. And I'll get a little more specific for you. I started with a really great family owned Century 21 company. I'm still friends with the family today. I absolutely, I look to them as that's where I got my start and I love them, right? I only was able to grow so much in that environment though. And I knew if I wanted to take my business to heights that I can't even imagine, then I'm going to have to get into different rooms where people are thinking differently, where people are thinking bigger. What I found is that I wanted whatever success was, and I don't even think back then I defined it really that well. I wanted it, but I didn't know what it was. And when I would think about it, looking back, it's easy for me to say I was thinking very, very small. Even though I had a lot of ambition, I was still not thinking big enough. And I think that a lot of people might be in the same boat where they're ambitious, they want success, whatever that means to them, and they're out there seeking a better way of growing, earning more income, which for me it was all about freedom. I did not want to work weekends, which in our business, a lot of people, they work every single weekend. They don't
Right.
have choice. And my idea of success was I wanted to be able to work Monday through Friday, or maybe even better yet, it became Monday through Thursday. I wanted Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off to spend at the lake with my family or at the boat with my family. And I wanted to be able to disconnect that. And to me, that meant freedom. And so I had to get into another room. I had to get into different rooms to be able to be surrounded by people who made me think bigger, who sucked me up to their level. And I did that in 2010 when I met Michael Reese and Jay Kinder. They really expanded my mind to bigger possibilities. They're both younger than me and they were way more successful than me. So they had my attention. They had bigger boats than me, and I could tell, they were living a better, you know, we call it life by strategy than
Right.
I was. And it wasn't like I wasn't trying to compare myself to them, but I did know that this was the level of freedom that I want. This was the life by strategy I wanted to create. So get into a better room. If you look around you and your environment, your office that you're in, or it could be even like, a community that you're constantly meeting with, maybe your local board or whatever. If you feel like you might be the smartest one in that room or close to it, it's time to up your game, get out of your comfort zone, burn the boats and get into a bigger room. And you will find that you will start to grow exponentially.
Right.
You'll be pushed out of your comfort zone. And I believe that you're going to start thinking bigger ultimately and see just levels of success that maybe you never even dreamed about.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it some different times. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? Man.
Amen. Yeah.
So I'm asking a similar question. It might be the same answer, but you said kind of looking back on where you started. So kind of looking back on where you started as a new agent, if you were beginning your real estate career now, what would you focus on?
So if I was beginning my real estate, I'm doing a little content
You're
recording
good.
here. It would be on this right here, what I'm doing right now. I'm creating content, I'm putting it out there, and I'm building my audience by adding deposits and value. So, I would have, you know, in looking back, if I could set the now, I'm not regretful right now, but you asked the question, like, what would I do differently? I would have focused on YouTube the second that it came out. I would have learned as much as I could about how to put meaningful, relevant content out to my audiences. If I was a brand new agent today, I would literally be building a YouTube channel that focused on the community. I would be shooting videos that highlighted small businesses in that community. I would ultimately be positioning myself as not just the real estate expert, but the community champion of that particular community. I'd be highlighting events. I'd be putting posts up that were relevant to people's the home values, what the market was doing in a particular zip code or multiple zip codes, so that when someone was doing a search, they were going to be finding my content over any other agent. And then here's the cool thing about shooting video with YouTube and whatnot, is that there's not going to be a whole lot of competition, because most agents, and I'm just going to use a rough guesstimate, between 85 and 95% of agents are afraid to shoot video because they don't like the way they sound, look, or they just don't know how, or maybe they just don't understand the premise behind it. But you're instead of, like, let's say in a particular market, there's 7,000 agents, right?
Right.
Well, instead of competing with the 7,000 agents, you might be competing with 7 on YouTube in a particular market, or less
Right.
sometimes. And so I would say, I would be focusing my energy and time on building that. Here's the other thing about building your brand via YouTube, is that it's an asset that never goes away. It's literally an asset that stays there. Whereas if you run an ad there's a magazine called Mimi's that I used to run a lot of advertising in. It's a paper magazine that's delivered to specific zip codes that I was working, right? That
Right.
magazine, I literally just got one yesterday in the mail. It went in the garbage. I looked through it for less than probably 30 seconds. I just page through it. If I see like an owner of a business in their advertising, I usually take a picture of it and send it to them and give them a high five. But I would be putting that money, time, and effort from running those ads into YouTube videos.
Makes sense. That's gold right there. Um, for those who might not know, how do you kind of spend your day right now, or where does your time go on real estate stuff?
Sure. Nope, I'm not in production any longer. I coach, lead, recruit real estate agents and help them be successful and help them create a life by strategy. That's just that's my purpose right now. So my day, like for instance, we're talking, this happens to be a Monday. I get up, I get my boys off to school. They're still in high school right now. I mean, they pretty much get themselves off, but I get up with them every morning. I try to spend every minute I can. I'm a single dad, so to speak. So, it's every minute counts. And I get up, get my coffee going. And then it changes up, but like I will have a leadership meeting at 10 a.m. every Monday with our leaders in our organization that are focused on agent attraction and recruiting and building out attraction systems. We do that for an hour. Then I have a huddle with our leadership team for Honey Badger Nation. We go over our priorities, where we're at, where we need to go, any initiatives, any people that are in onboarding status that need more attention to get across the finish line. And then the rest of the day I spend on doing stuff like this. I'll do 3-way calls. And then eventually I get to the gym. I usually get to the gym toward the end of the day. That's just typically how that works. But sometimes I'll go midday. Yeah, that's kind of my days, and that's a typical day for me.
That's awesome. what's next for you? Is there any projects or any goals in the next, I don't know, year, 3 years, 5 years that you're kind of just beginning or starting on?
Yeah, I mean, the next 24 months, I'm going to be, acquiring multifamily apartment buildings. I've already started, the acquisition strategy and partnering with some people on multifamily apartment. I believe that I'm going to be expanding that to some Airbnbs and single family homes, and just really starting to build my real estate portfolio back up again. It kind of got derailed a little bit in the last downturn. I was not prepared for it. The last time we had a shift in the market was 2007, 2008, 2009. Um, I got a little bit clobbered in that during that little era of my real estate career. Not as much as other people. So I'm not saying, I saw there was blood in the streets. Let's just say that, and I was not prepared financially for that big opportunity. And I say opportunity because when these shifts happen, you don't want to turn a blind eye to it. You want to
Right.
prepare and really figure out, like, okay, 5 years from now, after a real estate, let's say, shift happens, most people are looking backwards and saying, man, I wish I would have bought more then, and
Right.
that was me. That was me in 2010, 11, 12, when we were coming out of the
The
last
slum, yeah.
recession. I was looking back, and you know what I was doing? I was helping other investors buy boatloads and boatloads of homes and apartment buildings, pennies on the dollar, and I made them extremely wealthy. And me, I was working for tips. Now, we say working for tips, I was getting commissions on those.
Commission, right.
Nothing wrong with that. But you asked me what I have on the horizon is that I'm just going to be working smarter and preparing and just building my little empire in diversifying it, through real estate. I'm a big believer in it, been part of investment circles for my entire career. And I'm still a believer there. So I'm focused there. And just for
That's awesome.
fun, yeah, we have a new venture coming up here. I'm flying to Nashville, Tennessee tomorrow. I'm not going to give it away just yet because we're not 100% closed on it, but Honey Badger Records might be in the works here of
That's
one.
cool.
I'm a huge
Very cool.
country music fan, so we're looking at some other ventures that we're looking at as well.
That's awesome. We're going back to your real estate thing. There's a saying, it says that you can get rich by selling it, but you get wealthy by owning it.
That's
It's
very true.
I
Very
think
true,
that the
man.
percentage of realtors that own investment properties, I looked, NAR had a stat, just 30 some percent, 37% if I recall. So two-thirds of Asians are not investors or do not own an investment property yet. And I think, we can't miss the boat on that. So, I know I'm gonna let you go real quick, but I have two quick questions. Hopefully, we can get to them. What would you say is the most interesting question you've been asked? I know you've done a lot of interviews yourself.
The most interesting question I've been asked.
Yeah.
Hmm. I would probably say it has nothing to do with real estate. I think someone asked me
That's
one time, "Would you ever get married again?" The answer to that is yes. Sure, I would. Absolutely. But I think that's another cool lesson is that, like, I think when we're young, there's certain things that we say to ourselves, like, "Oh man, I'm married now, never get married again." Like, for me, I was that person, and but you know what? I'm living my life right now, in gratitude. I'm living my life to be able to add value to the people around me and expect that they're gonna, make add value to me. And and um so I'm about flowing through the last half of my years here, and not grinding through them. And of course, I'd love, I have a great companion right now, and her name's Courtney. And so we're not there yet, but I'm absolutely open minded to it. So that would probably be the most out there question I think I've been asked on one of these.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And to close us off, what would you say is your most important message If there was one important message for you to give to other real estate professionals, what would it be?
I would say build your own brand. Don't build your broker's brand. Okay.
Mm,
You know, this leans into the whole, whether it's a YouTube strategy, whether you want to go big with radio, whether you want to go, however you want to build your business, make sure you're building it on the back of your name, because I'm going to tell you this, the consumer does not care what brokerage you work for. I've been saying this for years. I have agents that be like, oh yeah, but like we have a big broker in town, Howard Hanna. They're a great company owned by a great family, the Hannas. But their message to their agents is you need us. And the truth of it is they need them. It's the other way around.
right.
EXP needs agents. Keller Williams needs their agents. Howard Hanna needs their agents. It's not the other way around. And the reason is because the seller or the buyer that you represent, they remember Mena Badros. They don't remember what brokerage they don't care.
Right.
It's about who controls the consumer's experience. It's always the agent. It's not the company. So I would say focus on your personal brand. And I'll end with this one. Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman. I am the businessman.
Business.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that means you are the business. You're the brand. Without you, there is no, real estate business. So
Awesome. Well, this has been great. This has been gold. Thanks, Al, so much. Really
thank you,
appreciate you.
brother.
And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Safe travels.
Oh, you got it, my friend. Appreciate you,
Have a
Mena.
good one.
Yeah, you
Yep.
take care.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.